never needed a match. It's unexplainable. It's unconditional. It's unforgettable. Unstoppable. So intentional. It's so inviolable. Indescribable.
Hello, and welcome to his
and her perspective.
Here at His and Her Perspective, we find common ground to harmonize relationships. And we do that by having these talks every single Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And myself, Coach Michelamonè, and
I'm Vaun, the Love Alchemist.
We are here to share our wisdom, share the information, and engage with you. So with that being said, we want you to make sure that if you're looking at us right now, that you share, say something, and that you are always subscribing to our channel or somewhere in there. I may mix that up a little bit. Always share, subscribe to our channels, and then say something. We like you to engage with us. We don't want to just talk at you. We want you to talk with us. So with that said, please make sure that you're telling us who you are and where you are chiming in from. We would love to say hello.
Word. Engagement is the key.
We got Tennille over in Chicago. We've got Carla Jackson. Let us know where you are. And we have Yardley Bond on this side. Hello, Yardley from Brunswick, Georgia. Thank you so much. We got more people on there, but nobody else is saying hi, but that's okay. If you want to be incognito, that's fine. Listen in. You might learn something. And you know what? If you feel something that resonates with you, make sure that you say something so that we can know that you're there. Okay, Carla Jackson is from Dallas, Texas. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation. I'm super excited about this. How about you, Vaun?
Me too. I've been looking forward to this one all week. You know, I say that every week, but I really am. I mean, these topics, man, they are very intriguing for me. And I always look forward to just coming here and kicking it with the family every Sunday. So it's good.
Absolutely. I love it. Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation about I love you, but I don't like you. How many? I have personally been in this position before. Have you, Vaun?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, been in this position where you're looking at your partner and you're thinking, yeah, I love you, but can you like go somewhere? I mean, like now. I mean, don't wait, don't tarry.
Yeah. Well, I've been on the receiving end of it.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a time in my marriage. You know, everybody knows I've been married since high school, and there was a time in my marriage where my wife wasn't too excited to see me.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk. We now get to hear from the other side of I don't like you, but I love you kind of thing. And we'll know from both parts what this is gonna look like. So we make sure that you all, if you've been on one side or another, let us know. We want to hear your story as well. But before we get into our topic, we always talk about couples that are winning. And today's couple, let me cue that up while Coach Vaun is introducing this beautiful couple. Sorry, gotta share my screen again. Gotta make sure it's on the right Facebook. There we go.
Hey, there we go. All right, so this is Ron and Regina Johnson. And shout out to Ron and Regina Johnson. They're out of LA, Los Angeles, California. They've been together for a total of 15 years. Been married 12 years, and they represent love, Black love, in a very strong way. So always good. And you could even see on the picture, it says happy and strong. They represent well. So good to see them shining. Shout out to them for the couples that are winning this week.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm so glad to have been introduced to he introduced them to us. So that's awesome. We always want to talk about the couples that are winning. So if you know a couple that is winning, please make sure that you inbox us or you email us at harmony@hisandherperspective.com along with their picture, who they are, their names, first name and last name, how long they've been married, and give us one little tidbit that would be beneficial to those who are trying to achieve that status that they have been in and being married for as long as they have been.
Yep.
So, you ready to get on into it, Vaun?
I'm ready. Let's get it cracking.
So before we move on into this, I want to share one more thing because I was really intrigued. I've been kind of vegging out on Saturday, right? Because I felt like this week was extremely long because we had the Thanksgiving holiday. So the days were just kind of, and I was like, okay, I can't keep training and working. Let me stop and just do nothing that takes no thought process. So guess what I did?
What's that?
I watched what they call it. I can't even think. Atlanta Housewives. What do they call it?
I don't know. I don't watch it, so I don't know. I can't.
No, it's the type of TV.
Reality.
I watched a reality show. You know, sometimes you have to come out of your own reality and watch somebody else's reality to help your own self. So that's what I was doing on this Saturday. So this is what let me pull this up really quickly. Share my screen again because I thought that this was amazing, and this is where this topic today is coming in from. So take a look. Oh, can you all hear that?
Thank you, Father God.
Hold on, I don't think that I shared it with my. Hold on, because that part is not fine. I don't think I shared it with the audio. Give me 1 second, y'all. Sorry.
I could hear it, but I think you heard it in the middle of the video.
Yeah, you want me? Okay, I can show the whole thing. Yeah, hold on.
You share as much as you wanted to share. I didn't know what your intent was, but
yeah, I was just because it's 3.5 minutes long. You want me to show the whole thing?
Yeah, no. Whatever your intent was, I just didn't know if you were in tune with where you had started the video. But go ahead, do.
Okay, wrong share. Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having technical difficulties over here. I got too many. Let me close this Facebook so that I know that where I'm at.
Let me give a couple shout outs. Kenyatta Cooper, that's my homie from way back. He said, "What's happening, Big Al? Finally made it. Love you, bruh. Love you back, man. Good to see you. Thank you for showing up." Shout out to my brother Derek and my brother Arinthio. They're both in here watching with us. And we also have Madeline Fleming. She says she loves the setup. So appreciate all y'all. Thank you for joining us today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your patience with my technical difficulties. All right, let's check this out. I would have showed the whole thing, but too long.
For me to repair any broken hearts in our family. Keep us on a path of being together, being kind and loving to each other. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. All right. Well done. Let's do a taste test.
Don't try. I know it makes fun of me, pancakes. I know your birthday is coming up. So what do we need to do to get a day? Maybe it's for a couple days.
Brooklyn's not coming with us? For my birthday, Brooklyn rolls with me. Me and my birthday.
So you want to take her on your birthday trip?
Yeah. Of course. That's actually the first birthday it's my first birthday with you.
It's true. You know, I miss being a girlfriend. Now that Brooklyn is here, I'm very much a mother and I'm a good wife, but I don't know if the girlfriend is there. And I know that's important to a relationship. But if we want to go to dinner and just have some alone time, then how do we do that if she comes?
Can you do that alone? Without you? Nah, you're number one.
I'm supposed to be number one.
What?
Who's number one? Me or Brooklyn?
You like the borough?
No, not the borough.
Versus the borough, Brooklyn.
No, like the wife Kenya versus the daughter Brooklyn.
What? What did you say? You spoke? What? Good job, baby. Did your daddy first before movies about me. Oh, I love it.
So I really thought that was really something else. I really wish I would have wanted to show the whole thing, but it was 3.5 minutes long, which, if people are not really into that, we might lose them and don't want to do that. But in the beginning of this video, her and her husband live in 2 separate homes. He lives in New York. She lives in Atlanta. And in the beginning, they're talking about breakfast. She doesn't really have breakfast. He says that she has a dorm room refrigerator. And she's talking about that. So he's, kind of going back and forth. The entire time he's being very dismissive to her. And looking at her like, I don't like you, talking to the baby when she's talking to him, ignoring her whole thing, right? And so if anybody has watched Housewives of Atlanta at any time, you'll kind of see this, and people talk about it all the time, that he doesn't really like her. But they're married, and why are they married? They're not really having sex. You can see that he wants to take the baby to an anniversary trip or a birthday trip, something that would be romantic for the both of them. So they're really in this relationship. Well, she loves him. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking that he loves her, but he definitely doesn't like her. Mm. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, at the very least, he seems disinterested in spending any real time with her. Yeah, I don't know if I've never watched the show, so I haven't seen any of their interaction outside of the clip that you just played. So that's my only reference. So, like I said, at the very least, he doesn't seem very interested in spending any real time with her. So
this happens in a lot of relationships that, we could blame this on the fact that they just had a baby and the baby's 8 months old. It could be that maybe they were in this blissful state when they first got together, and they've only been married for 2 years. So in the 1 year they were together, could have been great. The second year, they're basically pregnant. Well, really, no, they were pregnant quickly because she's 8 months. So that means 4 months into the 3 months into their relationship, they were pregnant.
Yeah.
So it could be that they really were on top of the world, if you will, in this situation that was, not really, solid, if you will.
Yeah. A lot of times too, this is why there's that old adage, be not unequally yoked. Right. And I know that, typically we attribute that to religion, whether it's Christian and Christian or Muslim and Muslim. But there's also people underestimate how much astrology plays a role in that. And so we have this whole dynamic at play where a lot of relationships, they start off hot and heavy. The chemistry is strong. The sparks are flying. And then it fizzles out, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year, sometimes 2 years, however long it takes for the initial excitement or the initial attraction to die down. And so by the time we realize that, we find ourselves oftentimes in relationships with somebody that we're loving and trying to hold on to before we realize that we ultimately don't like them.
Right. Yeah.
And again, I can go into that later on if we decide to, dig more into that. But astrology plays a huge role in that. So I'll just touch on it briefly. So just hypothetically, if she's an Aquarius and he's a Leo, these two are diametrically opposed. They are each other's polarity or polar opposites. And so these are the most challenging relationships. And so it's not impossible for that type of relationship to work out, but it is very challenging. And without a certain level of understanding, when we approach these opposites attract type relationships, again, we find ourselves in love with people that we don't even like.
You're absolutely right. And, and because, for those who maybe knew, with Vaun is considered he considers himself the love alchemist, and he deals with a lot of astrology and dealing with his clients and the whole thing and how that matches up. So that's really important I think I also, because I also deal with I use the DISC analysis and different personality tests that bring people together to know what your personality is in order to be able to get you to communicate. The whole point in us saying both of these things is that if you don't know the inner core of somebody, just because you hang out with them, you spend time with them, you get married to them, doesn't mean that you actually really realize who that person's core is before you get and dive in. And so if you don't know how to deal with that type of person because you haven't maybe dealt with that type of person before, then you're going to deal with them according to how you dealt with your last person. Why? Because you're the common denominator in all of those circumstances, and you're just going to keep bringing in the same knowledge that you had into the next relationship and keep doing that until you learn better. Because that's most of us do. We don't stop and say, hey, you know what? How do I learn how to be new to this new person? How do I learn how to be communicative to this person and not take in what my knowledge and my own understanding is, but I can erase that and start afresh. And we typically don't do that. Yarley says, lack of phallic control, lack of temperance on her part, lack of family planning. They fail to take their time to get to know each other before having children. A lot of stuff. Yeah.
And that's really on the most basic level, just taking time to find out that we want the same things ultimately out of the relationship. Oftentimes, we find that children are on the way or even here without planning. And so people are having children oftentimes and they don't want them. I was coaching a couple, this was a couple years ago, and they had multiple children. I want to say 6 or 7 children, only to find out that she never wanted to be a mom.
Wow.
And that alone will put strain on the relationships. And even, to the point that we were just making, you with the DISC assessment, me, and talking about the astrology component of it. And then there's this 5 love languages book that's out, and everybody's talking about what it takes to maintain harmony in a relationship with, let's say, a person whose love language is physical touch. If you're a person that whose love language is physical touch, and you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't like to be touched a whole lot, that's going to cause a major problem. Yeah. And so it's not just knowing your partner's love language, it's also about how willing are you, or how the relative ease with which it is to communicate that love language to the other person. So if I don't like to be touched, and your love language is touch, and you always want to touch me, and you always want me to touch you, it's hard. It would be hard for me in that relationship to give you what you need if I'm the type of person who likes my personal space. And I'm not that guy, just for the record, but I'm just saying, those love languages, it's one thing to know somebody's love language. It's another thing to actually apply that love language, and the relative ease or difficulty that it takes to apply that love language.
You're absolutely right. And a lot of times we're not having these types of conversations. We're thinking, oh, I like you. You look hot. You look great to me. All right. We're having fun. We're laughing. We're giggling. Even for those people who are saying, what's your purpose? What are you looking for in the next 3 to 5 years? Or, how many kids you want? We're still not saying, you know what? So if I don't want to touch you, is that okay with you? Or if I really want you to feel on me all day long, is that okay with you? We're not having those conversations. And, to the point of the video, and then I'll read Carla, because she was actually saying some of the things I was going to say, that in this situation with her, this woman is 47 years old and just had a baby. She's been trying to have a baby all of her life. She's never been in a situation to do so. Had to go through IVF and all of these things. So her being in this situation with this child, and now her husband is loving the child more, it's kind of like it's making that desire for that child like, man, look, I know I wanted this baby, but I also want my husband too. So Carla says, as a follower of the show, I think he resents her for wanting a baby so bad and so early in the relationship, and is in a sense holding her responsible for the baby. He definitely shows this interest in her. He really does. Wow. Yeah, I think it's deeper than that, though. I really do.
What do you think it is? Hey, shout out to Sarika Marie. Davis. Happy Sunday to you too, sis.
Okay, Sharika. Okay, so
What do you think it is?
let me tell you, I think he gay.
Oh.
Because this is the thing. You can Kenya Moore, regardless of her stank attitude, is a beautiful woman all day long, right? You laying next to this woman and you don't want to touch her?
Let me say something about that. Again, I've never watched the show, so I've never, observed the brother's demeanor or any of that stuff. But you just look, somebody's attitude can be as much of a turnoff as anything else. And so if her attitude is off-putting, if her energy is, to use your words, stank, yeah, it really don't matter how cute you are, man. I mean, at some point, a brother can get tired of that.
Okay, but I get that. I'm not disputing that a man's emotions can be tied into his loins because some women think that they are not. I get that. But I'm talking about either you got a whole nother woman on the side who helping you get rid of those frustrations within your body, or you gay. Because you cannot tell me that you only see your wife every 10 days, because y'all didn't see the other part. He only comes there every 10 days, and they haven't had sex in months.
Wow. That's tough.
That's what I'm saying. So, and I understand her attitude, but even if you tell her, turn over, I don't want to even look at you. Let me have my own mind, whatever's going on in my mind. Let me remember you when we first was, and so I can get this off. Whatever. You just can't. No. I understand. Y'all get my book.
Yeah.
Rejection saved my life. Get my book. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, you got a couple comments there.
Okay. Sharika says, okay. She's like, oh. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Kenyatta says. Once you connect to my heart, you can get anything. You can get anything from me. Sharika says, I think it may definitely be her attitude. Well, it is. She stank. Carla Jackson says, exactly. And he's getting it somewhere else. He doing something. Either he, like I said, two things. There's only two. You gay, you getting it from somebody else.
Yeah, he very well could be. One or the other. Or maybe both.
Or maybe both. You never know. If he get okay. Moving on. Look, so they say that growing out of love with a partner is a much better predictor of divorce than falling out of love with them. Because many times divorced couples will tell you after they got divorced that I love them, I just don't like them.
Yeah.
So you got couples that are divorcing because they don't like each other. So would that be safe to say, brother, that, and comments to you all, family, would you all think that really being in like with somebody is much more significant than being in love?
Are you asking me or are you asking the audience?
I'm asking you until they respond.
Well, let me say this. I think we had been married probably for, we were stationed in Georgia for the first time. So we had been together for maybe 5 years, and things were real rough. I was pretty young and I wasn't easy to get along with. I'll just say that. And there was a time, man, where my wife told me that just to hear my car pull up in the driveway made her stomach hurt.
Wow.
That's how much she didn't like me. And I wasn't that far, on not liking her, but I wasn't excited about coming home either. And so we were talking this morning about today's topic, and I asked her on a scale of, good, better, best, in relation to that time frame, or when we first got married, where does she think her love for me ranks now? How does she feel about me? Is it about the same? Is it better? Has it fallen off a little bit? And she says that it's definitely deeper than it used to be. Definitely deeper than the day we got married. And so I'm bringing that up to say, because so many people don't quite understand what it takes to kind of get to that point where things get better instead of worse, because nothing stays neutral, right? You're either growing or it's dying. Your love is either flourishing and thriving or it's decaying, right? But it ain't no middle, ain't no neutral, right?
Right.
So um, we can talk about the things that it took for her to get to the point where she didn't like me, right? I told you I was hard to get along with. Let's just summarize it in a nutshell. I was real hard to get along with. And now this morning when I asked her, she said, you know, she feels valued, she feels respected, she feels like that I appreciate her and I appreciate her thoughts. I value her input. So it really does come down to a lot of it anyway, is how you make your mate feel, how you
Right.
make your partner feel.
Right.
So and that's a purposeful thing. I'll just make this one point and then I'll pass it to you. We were listening to Aretha Franklin this morning, that song "Do Right Woman, Do Right Man," and I just took the words down to this first paragraph in the song. It says, she said, "Take me to heart and I'll always love you, and nobody can make me do wrong, but take me for granted, leaving me unsure, and it makes willpower weak and temptation strong."
Mm.
And so again, it just kind of goes back to my own situation where I was probably pretty neglectful, I wasn't very attentive, and the list goes on, and it just kind of weakened the fabric of our relationship.
Yeah. And that happens with a lot of people. I hear my clients talk about, it's just like when they get to the place where they're trying to figure out why he's not attached, or even I've had a gentleman tell me that he was in this relationship with her and she was just so cold to him, and he couldn't figure out why. And there's so many underlying things that if you're not communicating on a consistent basis, where like you did today, you're sitting down with your spouse and you're saying, hey, let's do a self post check. Let's where we at. Let's talk about this. If you're not doing that consistently, I'm not talking about every time something go wrong and all hell just broke loose. Talking about consistently on purpose. Every 3 months, we're going to sit down, meet at this round table. We're going to discuss this. What's happening? How could I be better? What do I need to do? And if you're not doing those types of things, you're going to end up in this type of situation. Some of the signs that let me read this first. Yarley says he now has post ejaculation clarity. He realized the 47-year-old stank attitude Black woman who has a child for attention. Wow. I don't think that she had a child for attention, though. She really wanted a baby, and she just couldn't have any.
Hey, but that post ejaculation clarity is a beast. Let me tell you, post ejaculation clarity, I mean, man, it will turn a 10 to a 2 in a hurry.
And that's because of that whole, I'm telling you, people don't get that bond that happens from the I just lost the word. What's the chemical in the body? Oxytocin. That chemical in your body, it is designed to connect the mother to the child. That's why it's there. It also happens when people have sex. So that's why when you're having sex with anybody and you like instantly attracted to them, you like, I'm looking for them with a flashlight in the daytime. That's what happens. And that happens. So we need to find another word that's kind of neutral, gender neutral, Yarley, because it's not just ejaculation, it's post orgasm too, because women have the same situation.
Do you think women experience it to the same degree that men do?
It depends. I think it depends. I've experienced it and be like, wow, what?
Well, and I ask you that because there's a sentiment out there that that women bond faster through sex than men do. Do you think that's true?
I do not think that is absolute true. I think it can be true. I just don't think that it's absolute, because again, I think it depends on the woman. You got women. I've been that woman where I'm like, okay, so this the dude I'm hooking up with. I had a sexual relationship with a dude for 2 years, It was only sex.
Hmm.
We got together on Wednesdays after work. We worked together when I used to be a manager at the bank. We got together on Wednesdays after work. We didn't have the bonding and that was great. None of that. It was hot butt naked sex. Done. 2 years. I felt nothing for this man. He didn't feel nothing for me. As a matter of fact, I sent him a gift for his wedding that he had to do when we finally broke it off because he was like, I'm about to get married. Okay, cool. That's how it was. You get married? Oh man, that's cool. It wasn't, man, you ain't married me. No, I didn't want that.
Wow.
I knew going in the door. That's not what I wanted. It was great. That was it.
All
So I
right.
think it really depends on the person. I think it can happen where women get more attracted or get sucked in, and I think that men can be the same thing. I think it really depends on that person.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen both scenarios where men get caught up as in ways that guys would refer to them as acting like a woman. But to your point, it's not a gender thing. I've seen it go both ways, where men get caught up and women get caught up. So
Yeah,
I agree with you. It's not a gender thing.
yeah. Yarley says he's been there where you were when you were speaking of your situation with your wife. You want to read this one?
Sarika says, I think we go through different changes and challenges in relationships. I know for sure it comes and goes depending on individuals, but also with time, history, and wisdom. I concur.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
She agrees with Aretha.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Carla said, is it lust? I think so. Lust is something else, honey. That spirit, you don't play with that. And people do not really understand the dynamics of our physical world versus our spiritual world. I don't care what religion you are. It doesn't have anything to do with religion. It has something to do with the creator and the spirits that happens that this world is really governed by. And the spirit of lust will have you turning tricks and then sitting in the middle of the street trying to figure out what you just did. You do things that you never thought that you would ever do. Y'all get my book, Rejection Saved My Life. Lust is something else, honey. Lust, you don't play with it. Because when you open the door, it is a Pandora's box that you will be trying to climb out of with both feet and hands.
Napoleon Hill kind of talks about that a little bit in his book Think and Grow Rich, where sex energy, he talks about sex energy being the strongest force between two human beings. And so, or I'm going to specify between a man and a woman, that sex energy, man, and once you turn that thing on, I mean, it's one thing to feel it, but it's another thing to give into it. Yeah. And if you give into it in an unhealthy arrangement, you can find yourself bonded with somebody that could really turn your life around in one way or the other. I mean, for better or for worse. So
inside out.
Yeah, and you be thinking that you're just going in for a quick hit, but sometimes you connect with the wrong somebody, man, and it end up being a whole lot more than you bargained for.
Absolutely. So y'all tell us anything that you all have, if you've all experienced this, make sure that you're sharing. Please share. If you're looking at us right now, click the share button, as well as do a watch party. Somebody on your page may benefit from this conversation. It may turn some light bulbs on. It may be able to connect some people and get them to thinking about their relationship. So please make sure that you're commenting, and sharing. Carla says, you better preach, Vaun. Yes, it's the truth. So 3 of the things, I'm going to go into my 3 things that I thought about that are blaring red flags that you are in the position where you love your partner and not necessarily like them, right? And I call it the 3 T's: the time, touch, and turned up sex. I then you have to find a T for the sex part because and I'm not just talking about just regular sex. It's got to be turned up. Why? Because it has to be passion. We're not talking about what I just said earlier about her just turning over and him getting this thing off and then be done. No, talking about desire, being able to really desire your partner and can't wait to involve yourself or engage with them in a sexual encounter. And then you have to be able to be touching. I mean, I know some people just are not touchy feeling, but there's endorphins that go through the body when you are touched.
Yeah.
I personally, especially in this pandemic, I'm the type of person, I love hugs. And if I don't have a hug from somebody, a friend, a family, a sister, a brother, somebody in the grocery store, I'm a hugger. I feel literally that in my body. My body goes through a challenge like, need a hug, need a hug, need a hug. Those chemicals in the body really do something good for your body. It keeps your body healthy. It keeps you strong. It keeps you connected to your partner. So even if you're not the touchy-feely and your love language is not that touch, you really have to get to the point where you're just, even if you're just touching the shoulder, or you're sitting next to them and touching shoulders together, or you touching their leg or touching their face, touch your partner. It connects you. That oxytocin goes, it connects you. You have to do that. And then, of course, that time. If you're not spending time with your partner, you're going to lose the connection. You can't think that you're going to, y'all ain't had a date in 6 months, but y'all just coming and going, or y'all not really talking to each other. Y'all talking at each other. Well, what's about the bills, the kids, the house? We got this to do, we got that to do. No, you got to really connect with your partner. And if you don't, you're going to end up in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I concur. I remember back in the day, I was a football fanatic. If I wasn't playing it on PlayStation, I was watching it on TV. If I wasn't watching it on TV, it was fantasy football. My son was on the football team, and I was a fanatic at his practices and his games. I mean, my mind was just consumed with football. And my wife hated football. She thought it was the most stupid sport she had ever seen in her life, and she couldn't understand for the life of her why I liked football so much. But she did something it took me a while. I had to learn this in reverse, but one day she just started sitting down and watching the Bears game with me. And she would be sitting next to me asking me all these questions like, well, what's the flag for? Why did he blow a whistle on that play? Well, what was the foul on that play? Explain to me the penalty on this play. And I'm like, look, you are interrupting my game. You're interrupting my enjoyment of the game. And it took me a while to catch on that she wasn't just sitting there to bug me, because initially I knew how much she hated the game, right? And so initially I thought she was just kind of trying to get in the way to steal some time for herself. But what I realized is that she understood that the best way to connect with me, was to get involved in something that I was, that emotionally invested in. And so she ended up learning about the game to the point where she became a bigger Bears fan than I was. And so the first game that we actually saw in person, she bought the tickets.
Wow.
We actually went to a Chicago Bears and Jacksonville Jaguars game. She treated me to a weekend there, and all of the jerseys that I have, she bought them, and she bought us matching jerseys and all that stuff. So I'm saying all that to say that a lot of times people don't understand the value of purposeful togetherness.
Yeah.
We have these fantastical ideas about what it means to spend time together, but spending time together requires being intentional, being purposeful, and sometimes it means as much as finding out what your mate is truly interested in or passionate about, and then positioning yourself so that you can become passionate about it with them, or at the very least interested in what it is that they're interested in. You don't necessarily have to be passionate, but you should at the very least find a way to be interested in something that they're interested in, because you can bond over those different things. And there's all kinds of stuff you can bond over. You can bond over, talk about politics if they like that, learn about it. You can bond over sports, TV shows, all kinds of stuff. So again, I talk about it in my book, purposeful togetherness. It's crucial.
It's really important, and people don't get it. You can't go into a relationship. When I'm doing interviewing for matchmaking and stuff, I always talk about what are the things that you like and what are the things you don't like. And people were like, I don't want never that. And so when you go into a relationship, or even pursuance of a relationship with that mindset that, no, I don't like that, then you're shutting yourself off to so many beautiful experiences that you really could learn a lot from. You could find that you you like sushi. You could find that you like the arts. You can find that you like opera. But if you're saying, "Oh, I don't do that. Oh, I only listen to gospel. Or I only listen to R&B. Oh no, I don't like country." You don't know what you don't like until you know that you don't like it. Basically, that's because you've experienced it. So we got to get to the point where we're not talking about, "Oh, I don't do that. No, black people don't
And
do that." Then you're gonna just stay uncultured.
and just because, again, my wife, she hated football, and I'm saying just because you don't like something, I mean, it doesn't necessarily, everybody's not going to be as averse to the thing that their mate is into as my wife was, with me in football. But just because you're not interested in something doesn't mean that you can't develop an interest in that thing. Again, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
And so she, at first she hated it. She thought it was stupid, but then she thought about it and she said, well, I want to spend more time with my husband. So I'm going to learn the thing that makes him tick. And, here it is. And she's calling fouls before that should have been a holding penalty. She's calling stuff before I'm calling it. So again, that's what you call purpose. You got a couple more comments if you want to read those.
Tip ladies.
Yeah, she got me, y'all.
Yarley says, yes, Miss Moore may be beautiful, but her attitude as well as other unattractive qualities disqualified her as a wife and a mother. She expected him to dote on her because she had a child. He is not. He's into his child and not her. That's why she had a child for attention. Okay.
Wow.
Kenyatta says, that is the true example of how God made man and woman. That yearning is meant to be filled by the purposeful man in your life. Absolutely. That's why you got people looking for people in the sunlight with a flashlight because they weren't supposed to be connected to that person.
Yeah.
People live in reality, not reality. You are so right, Yarly.
Wow.
And Sharika says, mindset and optimism is definitely important. It really is. You have to, because men and women think differently. We don't know why they get excited about these grown men throwing these little bitty balls around these and patting each other on the butt and high five. We don't know why. In our minds, we're going, what is that for? But they also men don't also understand why we get so excited about going to spend all their money. But we have to know that if you want to spend time with your partner, your spouse, your husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, if you want to know how to spend time with them, you spend time with them doing some things that they like. But they also have to be just as giving and open to you when doing the same thing. So he may have to go to the store with you and sit there in the chair with all the other men in the store, but he's there. So don't get him. And let me say this. This is a sidebar. Ladies, if y'all get y'all's guys to go to the store, don't complain that he's not involved in your choices, or he's not as involved as your girl would be. He's there. The fact that he got in the car, he said yes to go, take that, because he's showing up. He's not your girlfriend. He's not going to be as excited about those things. And if he is, you need to question that. So you start to find things that will show up, help you show up with each other. That's really the bottom line.
Yeah. That's funny. This spending time together. I mean, this is why oftentimes it says the best place, people say the best place to meet the person that you're going to be with is when you're doing what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So let's just say you're passionate about architecture, and maybe there's a male or feminine a masculine or feminine counterpart doing architecture too, and you've already found something that you have in common that you're both passionate about. And it could be whatever. I'm just using architecture as an example, but it could be politics or whatever. I think a lot of times, look, Gabby Sidibe, the girl who played Precious. Mm-hmm. Y'all know she just got engaged this week, right?
Really? Oh, that's cool.
She just got engaged. Some guy, a white guy. I think he's Italian or Jewish or something like that. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I don't know much about the story, but they found common ground somewhere.
Right.
I don't know, but again, it really is about, for me, if I had to start over, people say, oh, you got luck. It's easy for you to say because your wife is beautiful, and you already got the girl that's cute and all that. But I'm telling you, man, as God is my witness, if I was starting over right now, there are so many attractive people, physically attractive people with a whole lot of pain in their wake, right? So yes, I'm a face man, so I love the fact that my wife is pretty, but I mean, I would take an average looking woman who gave me 110% cooperation before I took a physically attractive woman who was half as cooperative or wasn't very cooperative at all. So I like to say I'll take a 5 who gives me 10 over a 10 who gives me a half-ass effort any day.
Right.
So for me, cooperation and peace and man, those types of things that make me feel good about being around her are much more important than how pretty she is. Because just like Kenya Moore, I mean, they don't come much prettier than Kenya Moore, right? And this dude is tired of her already. So, that physical thing, you do need to at least be attracted to the person.
Right.
But, how high do you need to go before you realize that it's much more to it than just how cute they are or how fine you think they are or whatever.
And you have to also, too, the reality of that situation is he's a good looking brother. Most attractive people are attracted to attractive people. So you can't walk in thinking that you're so cute and hot that you ain't got to put no work in, because whoever you're with is probably just as cute and hot. So you have to really know that it takes some work. And I love how Coach Vaun says, it's not hard work, it's heart work. That's another thing that's in his book. You all need to get his book too. But we really have to stress the point. It's not even about so say for instance, you've been together for 6-7 years or 2 years, and you really didn't meet each other in places that you liked, or you found those common grounds where you kind of can sit together and do something together. You can start again. In my third marriage, we picked up cameras. And he picked up one first. I'm like, I want one too. He's like, why you want one? I'm like, because I want one. We can do this together. And we made thousands upon thousands and thousands of dollars doing this because we decided to pick this up, and took it from a hobby, doing it in church, to then making money with it. So you just really never know what can come out of it when you put you and your partner come together to really do something that's really cohesive to bring y'all together.
Yep. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at a comment. Ron Johnson says, my wife and I are taking golf lessons. So they're taking golf lessons together. That's a way of building some cohesiveness, and it's fun, and he says he met his wife at a concert. So they were doing something that they both enjoyed, and they happened to meet each other there. And now here they are 15 years later, still doing things together. It's purposeful togetherness. I'm telling you, family, that's what it is. Anytime you leave, the moment you put your relationship on autopilot is the moment you've surrendered your relationship to come what may, right? So like I like to quote Les Brown where he says, life is like a fight for territory, but I flip it and I say your relationship is like a fight for territory. And in the moment you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want automatically begins to take over.
Yeah, absolutely. Vaun, Yarly, I do not do shopping with women. You want to know why men do not like shopping with women? It goes back, at least for me, to when we were little boys. Every time we go shopping with our mothers, we had to carry those packages. Of course, we are bringing you for your brawn, not your beauty. Be nice, Yarly. Go to the store, carry the packages, so that when she sees how strong you look, let me tell y'all guys, since Yarly, invited his advice about not shopping. Let me tell y'all why you should, right? When your girl is watching you carry those packages, or if you the one that's bringing out the wallet, do you know how she looking at you? She gonna be telling her girl's girl, he went to the store with me. He was carrying my bags. When you was back in high school and you carried the girls' books, that was like it was the buzz around the school. Oh, look at Desi's guy. You know him. You know Vaun, that guy. He over there carrying her books. Oh, they must be together. They must be going together. It makes a woman feel good.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I do go shopping with my wife. I just I'm not a very patient person though, and so the clock is ticking. So we got a time window. So the compromise is I'll take you, but we can't be there 3-4 hours. I just don't have that kind of patience, and so there's a compromise. And part of what it means to love somebody is it comes down to what you're willing to sacrifice for them.
Mm-hmm.
What are you willing to do for that person? Love ain't just about what you feel in your heart. It's about what you're willing to do, what you're willing to give up, what you're willing to sacrifice. And so even though I don't necessarily want to be in, Burlington Coat Factory because they got a hot sale on socks, whatever. If my wife wants to go to this place, I'm going to sacrifice, whatever chilling I might have had, planned. We could work that in, and I'm gonna give that up. Because on the back end of that, I know that she's continuously making sacrifices for me. So it is a one hand washes the other kind of thing. And if you find yourself in a relationship where you just got one hand trying to wash itself,
Right.
you're gonna come up short, and
You're gonna be tired after a while.
you'll be finding ways to reinvent what it means to be happily single.
Yep. And happily single is not the way. I don't care. Yeah, I'm happily single, but I don't want to be single for much longer.
Yeah.
Sharika says, my husband does go, but I know he hates it. But he loves you. That's why he's showing you he's going. I love it. I love it. Love is an action word, as Sharika says as well. It really is. It's about really of us more giving. And if everybody, I keep saying this, if you're giving and he's giving, everybody's receiving and giving, nobody loses.
Ron Johnson says, we hunt when shopping. They browse and look.
I'm a hunter too, though. I'm that person. I'm like you, Vaun. I don't want to be in there 3-4 hours. I want to go. I know what I'm looking for. That's why I'm an online shopper. I even do my grocery shopping on the phone because if I go in there, one, I'm gonna get frustrated because I can't find something.
I want to go get what I came to get, and I want to be out.
Out. I
don't fantasize about how good I look in these jeans. I know what I'm here for.
Right. Sharika says, but I do prefer to shop in peace. Yeah, I me the same way. I don't want people bothering me, but I still would go. Yarly says, I can't tell you how many little boys looking miserable carrying packages for their mothers. Sad clown looks. I laugh so hard and tell them, I know how you feel. I agree with Vaun. Thanks, Yarly, for being so like Vaun, I have no patience. I get it. See, Sharika, that's why he hates it. You can shop all day.
Yeah.
And then Carla says, we got to try them on. Yeah, I don't want to try stuff on in the store. Yeah. If I can't bring it back, I'm not shopping in that store.
Yeah.
Because I am a bringer backer. Some women are like, I'm not bringing nothing back. And I will bring it if I don't like it, if it don't fit right, but I'm going to take it home. I'm going to get in it, look at my mirror, not these lights that they make you look like glam shots on so that you don't see that flaw in them white jeans and you like, man, my little fat right there poking out. You didn't see them in the mirror in the store.
Yeah.
They got you. You get home and you look in your mirror, you're like, oh, no, I can't do this.
Hey, look, see, and it's so much simpler for a man because once we know what our size is, I know that I'm looking for 38, 32. I'm not a very tall guy. I know my waist size, and if it's loose fit, I know I'm good. Chances of those things hanging on me just right are gonna be all right. Give me about 4-5 pair of them. I might try that first one on just to make sure that cut hit right, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab me about 4-5 more of them, and I'm out.
Right. He says, I hate going back. She was talking about going back to the store. Me too, says Sharika, and Yarly says, you're right, Vaun and Coach. I go in, get what I need to get out. I'm out. Yeah. I don't like it. Look,
there's a quote that just to this whole point about I love you, but I don't like you.
Yes.
People don't start out that way, right? People start out typically in a real good place. The chemistry is good, it's strong or whatever. But there's this quote I read. It says, most relationships do not die from natural causes. They are killed by selfishness, neglect, lack of consideration, lies, and secrets.
Yes.
I'm gonna read it again. Most relationships do not die from natural causes. They are killed by selfishness, neglect, lack of consideration, lies, and secrets.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And people need to really pay attention to that.
Mhm.
Um, I say this to my clients that really say that I really am tired of being by myself and I can't wait to get in the relationship. I did not do this. Why? Because I don't like bugs, and I would more terrified of the bugs than I would be of the whole process. Right? So I'll find something else. But I tell them to get a plant. If you can take care of a plant, don't talk back to you. It needs your nurturing. It has to water, and you have to watch the slow progression of its growth. If you can get a plant, take care of that plant, and you don't kill it within 6 months, then you might be ready for a relationship.
That's the barometer. Huh?
So because some of my clients have been single for far too long,
Mhm.
and they need some type of barometer outside of themselves to say, you know what, am I really ready for this? Because that's the major problem. We do not count the cost of what it takes to be in the relationship, which is how you can get into a relationship and love somebody but not like them. You
Mhm.
haven't count the cost that you may not like the areas that you what if this happened? Would I like that about them? Would I still be able to respect them? Because ultimately the like part is really the bottom line core of it is I don't respect you.
Yeah.
So
Look.
if I don't respect you, I don't like you. And if I don't like you, why are we doing this? And
Mm,
people are not counting that cost of how they can keep the respect up in their relationship.
yeah. Yeah. And that's crucial too because just I know. Look, you hear a lot of pastors at churches. They say things like, "Men need respect and women need love," and I know it goes both ways because no man wants to feel unloved and no woman wants to be disrespected, right? But I think the point in that statement is that men are always jockeying for respect, in on various levels, right? I mean, even if you look, y'all know where I get my relationship advice from. We go to Animal Planet, right? And the male lion or elephant or buffalo or gorilla, the one that gets the most respect by way of physical dominance, is the one that gets the ladies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in turn, the women the females just want to know that they're going to be cared for. They
Yeah.
want to know that they're going to be protected. They want to feel safe. They want a healthy place to nourish and develop their offspring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on a primal level, that's pretty much what we're looking at. Now it has been it's gotten confused because all these different ideas have been injected. Can he get me a Birkin bag? Is he at least 6'2"? I mean, we got all these other ideas that complicate the primal thing. And,
Right.
and what we've learned to do now is that we've begun to major in the minors, right?
Yes.
But we need to learn how to make the main thing the main thing. And
Right.
this is also a large part of why so many of us are single, because the thing that we find attractive isn't really maleness or masculinity as far as the women go. They're confused by many of these other adornments, these accoutrements, if you will. Look at me using these fancy French words, right? And then the same thing. Look, I read a book last night, so but the same thing, men, oftentimes we want the girl with as long as she has a beautiful body and so on and so forth. You can't get away from that. But again, there are things that come that rank higher than just her physical appearance. If she's got a beautiful face and a banging body, but her character is lacking, her integrity is lacking, or if you want children and the last thing on earth she wants is a child or to be a mother, it's the wrong fit, man. And so again, we got to get back to the basics about what it means to just begin relating and connecting to one another before we can even talk about going to deeper levels of love and all this other stuff.
Absolutely, and that even goes back to Yarley's point about Kenya Moore, even I think Carla also brought it up about her husband resenting her because she wanted a kid. Well, they didn't have this conversation because if he knew anything about Kenya Moore been talking about a baby for 10 years. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's really that, was he in it just to get it? And it ended up, now that, okay, so now she pressured him into marriage. And we don't know what that situation is. But a lot of times, again, it's really not counting up the cost. You're not really thinking about what you're doing. You're getting in and your emotions have taken over and your logic has taken a back seat. And you haven't stepped up to what your standards are. You're not holding on to them because you're thinking, oh, well, I guess I'll deal with this. Or, you know what, it's not that bad. No, if it doesn't line up to 8 of your top 10, walk away. Don't even entertain it. Because if you do, you will get, I promise you, I spent some extra time with somebody that I never should have been spending that much time with. Why? Because I entertained it. He didn't have the 8. He had about 6, 6.5. And I was like, well, maybe let's see, but no, if they're not, because you already knocked off 2, gave him 80%. You didn't gave him a B. You don't want to take him down to a C or a D. If you do that, you're going to be an F because it will be failed. It will come out in a complete failure and you'll be trying to figure out why. Why? Because you settled. You settled and you're sitting there trying to figure out what had happened.
But see now, Go ahead, my fault.
I was saying, that you think they'll be sitting around thinking about what had happened?
See now, somebody, I posted a question yesterday in my group. By the way, if you guys are not in my Facebook group, the Black Love and Marriage Society boot up. The Black Love and Marriage Society boot up. If you're in a relationship or want to be in a relationship or whatever way, join my group. If you don't know where it is, if you can't find it, I'll put the link in the feed. But the point I was going to make is, damn, I just lost my train of thought. Damn. I lost it. I had a good point too. The brother in the group, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. How about I do that?
And while he's pulling that up, this takes me to, I was actually wanting to, in the midst of me getting ready for the show, a thought came across my mind is to tell the singles, if you want a relationship, you hang around people that in a relationship are married. You don't hang around all your single friends all the time. So if you want to be married, you get into this group, you might find somebody might find you. You might get into this group. Those that hang together, flock together. What?
Birds of a feather.
Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. People that are in a committed relationship are going to be around people that either are in committed relationships or want and desire committed relationships. So if you want to find someone that is in a committed relationship, you look to their friends because all their friends aren't married. That's why I keep asking, Vaun, where are all your friends at, man?
Right. So I found it, right? And so the question that I asked in the group was, do you believe being in love is overrated? Right?
Yeah.
So do you believe that being in love is overrated? That was the question. And, we had a, good discussion about that. A lot of good answers on that. But one person showed up and he said that being in love and romance is a European concept. And I had to push back on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I say that marrying for love, marrying for romance is a relatively new phenomenon, a more of a Western or European construct. And that's what, like maybe the last 100 years or so, maybe the last 150 years. Prior to that, though, there were arranged marriages. Now, what's happening is you find more and more people getting married for all of these things that feel good, the love, is he 6'2", does she have a nice body or whatever. Whereas before, the arranged marriages, based on family, based on what we're bringing to the table and all this other stuff, right? Those arranged marriages lasted a lot longer than the marriages that we have now, where we have freedom to make our own choices.
Yeah.
Right. And so this idea that love and romance is the Europeans, the Western civilization, they don't own the patent on feelings.
Right.
So even in arranged marriages, even though you might not have met this person until your wedding day, Even though you might see that person when you meet them, and you're like, oh man, that's not what I had in mind for my husband or my wife. Over time, if you spend any time with someone and it's purposeful and you're trying to bond and you're building something together, purposeful togetherness, like I mentioned, you're going to develop feelings for that person. And you can have love. You can develop that in love feeling that we talk about. And you'll find that those arranged marriages are far happier than the ones that we have today, where we get to pick and choose this. We're trying to carve out of this whole mess that we call Western society to find our soulmate. And we're struggling. We're struggling like crazy. And I think, again, going back to what I was saying about just the primal, keeping the main thing, the basics, we've lost sight of what it means to just to relate on a healthy level in favor of the things that the surface things, the superficial things that make us feel good.
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. I think that we've gotten so far into this Western systemic programming that we're supposed to do it in this particular way, that when you are presented with things like matchmaking, you're presented with things like arranged marriages, people automatically shun and go, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do it? You do it with everything that you do in your life. Everything. You match your resume up to your jobs. You match up what you need, what your children need for their schools. You match up what you're looking for in a house. Everything that you do in your life, you do this for. You arrange it for.
Yep.
We don't arrange our personal romantic lives because we think that's taboo. No. It will make a dynamic that will create a fantastic arrangement for you if both parties are on the same page. And I say that because my last husband, I didn't marry him for love. I wasn't in love with him. I married him for ministry. I was in ministry, head in ministry, and was like, hey, look, he knows this, I know that. We come together. This is going to be dynamic. We're going to pull some souls from the enemy. That was my whole thing. I fell in love, and the whole falling in love, people say, don't say fall in love. No, falling is something that's vulnerable, something that you don't have control over when you fall. I don't believe that you have control over that aspect of love, that who you love is who your heart pulls you into. But when you make the decision to come together with them and then you fall into love, then that's a totally different thing. But people don't think that way. The only reason why that marriage did not last is because that other party did not see the same things I saw and decided to live a life that just wasn't cohesive with what the whole purpose was. That's really what that is.
Yeah. I agree.
Yarley says, exactly. He gave it to me post ejaculation or orgasmic clarity. Thank you, Yarley. Appreciate that. Again, please make sure that y'all are sharing. Sharing is caring. We love it when you share. Make sure that for those who are stepping in with us now, we are going to be wrapping it up really soon because I think we really kind of hashed this thing out really good. What do you think, Vaun?
Yep. I think so. We got another comment from Cheryl Lewis, my wonderful mother. She says, whatever you do, don't settle, period.
Don't.
And I love that part of the conversation too, because I think, look, unpopular opinion in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? I was asked before, a sister asked me, she said that the dating game is cold out here. It's just changed so much over the last, 10 to 20 years. And she asked me if I thought I would be successful if I had to re-enter the dating scene. And I said, yeah, I do. And I say that confidently because, and it ain't about, for me, I know my energy is good, but I think as much as anything else, and I got some secrets, but more than anything else, I will be looking for character and integrity. And I know that there are people with character and integrity out here. So I might settle a little bit on the looks. Like I said, I would take a 5 because a 5 is just an average looking woman. And the average woman is appealing to me. She don't have to be a Kenya Moore. She don't have to be a Desiree. My wife is fly. But if I had to re-enter the dating scene, I don't have to have that. You know what I mean? And I think that, so there are a lot of us who are unwilling to settle for what it is that we think we qualify for.
Mm-hmm.
And we end up passing on things. Look, I seen women who were gorgeous with dudes who were very, very average. I've seen guys who women thought were, gorgeous, super handsome, with women who were very, very average. And they were both at peace. I mean, they both seemed to have what made them feel good about being in that union. And I say, again, the idea of settling, I wouldn't settle if it meant that I lose, but if it meant that I might compromise, a little bit of what I thought I might otherwise qualify for as far as looks go. I know I can go out here and get a 10 because I clean up pretty good. You understand?
Just kidding.
But, even though I know that I could go out there and I could get me a 10 or whatever, that don't mean a hill of beans to me if when we get home, I'm not at peace.
Right.
So I would indeed settle as far as, that scorecard goes for what I gain on the back end, which ultimately, I tell you all the time, my religion is peace of mind. And if I can't have that, you are useless to me.
Right. And people don't get that what you're attracted to is usually a part of what your standards and what your core values are. So you can, I'm not saying that you're not going to look at the person and go, okay, they're attractive. But when you stop going from 0 to 100 in the, oh, I just met him, or I just met, guys typically don't do this. So I'm going to pick on the ladies for a moment. Oh, I just met him. I can see myself married with him. Stop doing that. Meet the person, enjoy the conversation, see if you like what they're saying and how they're vibing with you, what your connection is, how your purposes align, how your vibrational alignment is bringing together. That whole attraction is happening there. You're going to be attracted to that which you're purposed in. And when you do that, you'll find yourself, you'll be like, man, I never thought I would be attracted to this kind of dude, or vice versa with the ladies. You'll start to see that person is just that one. That's your person. And we're so busy going, oh, he fine. I stay away from the super fine dudes. If you super fine, I'm going, dang, he hot. I don't want to talk to you. Yeah, no, you have to know your own limits. That's not what I want to be in. I don't want the dude that I just don't. I don't want that one. I want somebody that's attractive to me, and then we run with it. But if you like, I wouldn't have dated Mark, her husband, because he's super fine.
And I think too, we have to begin reassessing redefining is probably a better word. What is attractive to us.
Right.
And so here's one thing that we don't talk about much. Another unpopular opinion, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So right now we're sending our young ladies off to school. We talked about this before. Girl, go get your education because you don't need no man. And then we're telling young men, find your purpose, live your purpose. A woman is, don't worry about no woman. As long as you find your purpose, then everything is going to be all right. And we're telling women, girl, as long as you can take care of yourself, you're going to be all right. And what I say is this, that the purpose for a man, let me rephrase that. The idea of manhood is inextricably tied to the idea of womanhood, and vice versa, right? So I asked this question in my group the other day. Can you live your best life? As a man, can you live your best life without a woman? As a woman, can you live your best life without a man? And I say no. And so you have all these successful women out here with master's degrees and PhDs, and they can't find no man. You got all these brothers out here making all this money. They living in their purpose, but they mad as hell because they can't find a good woman. And I'm saying that if you've achieved all this financial success, you got all this money in your pocket, but you're still unhappy about your love life, then there's something more important than the amount of money that you make.
Yes.
Right. And so I say the ultimate purpose for a man is a harmonious relating with a woman. And the ultimate purpose for a woman is harmonious relating with a woman. Everything else, yeah, you can still be happy. You can still find happiness. You can still have a good life and enjoy life and all that other stuff. But the primary purpose that you were put here as a man is to be with a woman, and vice versa. Otherwise, there would be no classification of man and woman. Hell, we would all just be people.
Yeah.
There would be no gender. You'd just be, what's up, person. Right?
Hi, human.
Ain't no what's up, bruh. Ain't no
Right.
hey sis, you know. So I know that's unpopular, but you know, I don't care. Like I said, I think that's what it is. And if you go to every religious text that you can find, it corroborates what I'm saying. Cheryl, my dear mother, has another response. She says, I'm referring to getting married just for the sake of being married or hooking up with someone. I absolutely concur. Absolutely. There are people who will get married just so that they can say that they're married, and their lives are living hell.
Yeah.
And like Kenya Moore, she got the baby, she got the husband, and she's miserable.
And she got money.
And boatload of money. He's a star, she's a starrer, and they unhappy.
They're unhappy because they didn't do this thing with purpose in mind. Carla says, period, be done. Gave all your good years to the wrong person. Yeah, doing that because you look at your life and you're going, what did I do? So I think that we really need to make sure that, you know, some of the things that you can do if you happen to be in this situation where you love your person but you don't like them. Again, like I said earlier, you want to spend some time with them. You know, do things that's going to be beneficial to both of you, that you all can both enjoy. If you can't find that common ground because you just hate football and I'll never watch this or I'll never go shopping, find something that you do like together. Pick up a hobby together. You also need to, I think this is really important that a lot of people just don't do, or they stop doing it because they feel like, well, we're at the dating stage or whatever. It's complimenting each other. You know, say something nice about your partner. And not just like, oh, that's a cute dress. No, say something nice about who they are.
Yep.
Build your partner up on the inside. That I personally believe there's a certain level of esteem that doesn't come from yourself. Your self-esteem is a self, but then there's esteem that you need from the outside. And if it were not true, then we wouldn't need each other. You know, and this talks about what Coach Vaun is saying. We wouldn't need each other if we weren't to get that esteem from the outside too.
I can smoke back of that.
Yeah. And, you know, so we need to build each other up. You know, everybody needs somebody saying, you know, and me and Coach Vaun were laughing about this when we were in backstage before we came on the show. He said, oh, you know, sister, you looking nice today. I said, you too, brother. He was like, you know, I only tell you that so that I can get a compliment. I'm like, you know, I'm going to have to steal that. I'm gonna walk around and start telling people that I like what you look like so they can tell me the same thing. And I'd be like, thank you, girl. Know, but you know, so compliment your partner. And then the very, very much needed thing is that we have to be forgiving. And I'm not talking about just for infidelity or cheating or something big, just about forgiving them for them not thinking, doing, and being who you think that they should be. Giving grace.
Yep. You know, I don't know. I'm thinking about this Kenya Moore situation and the reason that she had this child. And I'm taking cues from y'all because I don't watch the show. But there was a question in this group that I was this other group that I'm in, and the brother asked the question, am I wrong for spoiling my daughter? You know, am I making it too hard for other men? Basically, he's doing all these things for her that it sounds like he, you know, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or whatever. I don't know whatever his situation might be, but to me, spoil means to ruin. Right. Mm-hmm. So if you're spoiling your child, then yeah, you're wrong, because if you think about it, your child really does not, their care is up to you, right? But you're really raising them so that they can be a complement to someone else. Right. You're raising them so that they can go on in life and complete or complement or pair with someone else. And so if you're spoiling them, if you're setting an unrealistic bar for them, during their upbringing, and with the understanding that when they grow up to be an adult woman, that it's going to be hard as hell for some dude to match that, then yeah, you're setting her up for failure. So yeah, you're wrong.
Right.
You know, is what I say. And the same thing in reverse. If you're doing that same thing for your, as a woman, for your child, you're putting unrealistic expectations. That, look, she got to have this and she got to have that. You got to be realistic, man, because you are raising your child for someone else. Now, I know a lot of people are very possessive about their children and they don't want to hear that. But at the end of the day, if you raise a beautiful, well-dressed child, they got all these bachelor's degrees and masters and PhDs and all this other stuff, but ultimately they end up single because they can't find someone to complement with in their lives, then ultimately you set them up for failure.
And I like to add this because I was thinking of this earlier when you were talking about the whole thing where women are going out and getting these degrees and things of that sort. And so that comes with a caveat. The caveat to a woman going out like myself, I'm about to be double mastered. And when you have a person who spent, $200,000 on schooling, the first thing you would think is, oh, she needs somebody that can accommodate that financial whatever. And so in a lot of people's minds, it's like, you know what, I would never date someone who makes half of money that I make, or I would never date someone or be with someone who doesn't have the education that I have. So even to yes, you're raising your child to be with someone that's complementing them. It doesn't mean that they have to have everything that they have. Right. Now, that complementariness, if you will, it needs to be in moral standards. It needs to be in core values. It needs to be in like-mindedness. It doesn't mean that you need to have the same amount of plaques on the wall. It doesn't mean that you need to always have the same amount of dollars in the bank. Because you may find, and I had this conversation with one of my matchmaking clients, if he makes half of what you make, are you good with that? And she met the dude. She was open to meeting him. Why? Because that wasn't her concern. They didn't match, but that wasn't her concern. And when you walk into a situation where you're like, he got to be making a whole lot, he got to be doing, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I am not saying that, you should not be concerned if he making $20 $20 a day versus $200 a day, or if he's just sitting on his mama's couch and not working. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you gotta find out, and like Coach Vaun said earlier, redefine what it is that you're really looking for. Get down to the nitty gritty of it. I tell people all the time, write down everything that you want, get down to the top 10s, do the must-haves, and the flexibles, take them top must-haves, then take the top 10 of those. Those are things that you're going to get for your standards. And they should not be superficial. They should not be things that can change in the matter of a blink of an eye. If that is the case, you are dealing in superficiality, and it could change. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to not be in love with that person because now they're not making the $200,000? I had a guy. Here's a true story. Okay. I am an entrepreneur, have been for a very long time. I dip in and out of corporate America when I feel like, oh my goodness, it's a little scary out here. Let me go find me a job. Or in the case before when I got injured, I got a job because my ex-husband was like, yeah, you need a good job. I'm like, you don't know who you married? Okay, whatever. So we dated, we're going really good. And it was like nice. And he found out, because now we're getting into the conversations of, well, so how much money do you make? Or, what's your credit score look like? Because now we're considering each other, right? So these are conversations you're having when you're considering the other party, like serious, like, let's see if this call can come together. And when he realized I wasn't making as much money that year, because it was a little slow, that he made, he literally said to me, yeah, so when you make a little bit more money, get back at me. I was like, really? How about this? A little bit less than 4 years later, he ain't got that job either. So now what do? So now you're in this situation where yo, you was high and mighty because you was making all this money, but now that he's not, if we were together, if he would have not been so shallow with that, and we were together, and then he lost his job, would I have left? No. But he probably would have did the other. He probably would have been the other way. So we got to really understand, what are our core values? What are we really looking for?
Yep. Yep. We have replaced family and higher ideals with the bag.
Yeah.
That bag right now is taking center stage, and far too many people. Look, our cultural ideas, our cultural values have been so compromised that we don't know what the hell we want until we're 45, 50 years old. You got women, like, a woman is really at her prime physical appeal, marketing value, if you want to call it that, when she's in her mid 20s, right? There's no point in her life typically that a woman is going to be more appealing than when she's probably around 25. And men, on the other hand, as we accumulate more wealth and we accumulate more wisdom, we tend to grow more attractive as we age.
Mm-hmm.
But we're attracted for different reasons. We're attracted to each other for different reasons. So I'm not supposed to be in the mall trying on tight jeans to see how they fit my calves and my butt, so that a woman could be like, "Hey, boy," right? And a woman, again, that's the equivalent of a woman putting on all these extra accomplishments, and then trying to catch a man with the same thing that men catch women for. She driving with a Benz, talking about, "Hey, boy," right? So what has happened in many ways is that a lot of us have traded places.
Yeah.
And men are trying to catch women with the same tools that women typically try to catch men with. And women are trying to catch men with the tools that men typically try to catch women with.
Or it's just the whole way around, and the woman trying to catch the guy that's running.
That's a whole, man, look, that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm saying that, since our culture has been fractured, broken, we don't really understand. A lot of us don't really understand what it is that we're supposed to be pursuing, oftentimes until it's way later in the game, and our value isn't as great as it should be, or as great as it could be. And I think this is one of the reasons why I promote, even though a young man really isn't as wise as he is going to be, he hasn't accumulated the monetary or financial success that he's going to. One of the best things that I could have done was got serious about my wife at the age that I did, because what that did was it preserved both of us. Really, it preserved me from having to go through all of the hurt and pain of dealing with the various women, of with me sowing my wild oats, right? And it also preserved her from having to go through all of the heartbreak and headache from all of the different guys that she might have interacted with. So what happened, even though we were young and we were immature or whatever, and got married at 18, in a sense, we really preserved ourselves from the harsh reality that the world has waiting on you in this fractured culture that relationships has waiting on us.
Mm-hmm.
So I say the best time, look, I'm not saying necessarily get married at 18, but if you find somebody, I tell young people that I mentor, if you find somebody that's on your page and that's willing to be serious about life, and y'all singing on the same sheet of music, man, cuff that. I say cuff that. And you can talk about marriage later, but as far as being serious, I wouldn't let nobody penetrate that bubble. I'm not looking any further than what I have right now. Sowing your wild oats is overrated as hell anyway.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all. Yeah, yes, it's overrated. Yarley says that yes, he was talking about the comment earlier. Yes, he is. He is setting up false beliefs and unrealistic expectations of life and men, looking for daddy love instead of romantic love from men. You're correct, Coach M. And then, but here's the double standard. If she is saying he got to have this or that, must make this much. Remember, men traditionally have had to deal with this exact situations, and we're supposed to take these women as wives and girlfriends. You're right, Yarley. There is a standard there. But I have to. One of the things that I really want, especially us in our community, to understand that many of these standards that we're talking about, these what well, he got to have this or she got to have that or she got to do this and she got, these are standards that we just adapted to. Really, we took on because we heard somebody say it and we go, oh, that sounds like a good thing, let me hold on to that, and we held on to them instead of really understanding clearly what we really want and what we're, when we're sitting down quiet and the spirit is speaking to us to tell us who we need to be attaching ourselves to, be it friendships, be it partnerships, be it business, be it relationships, romantic relationships, whatever those things are. When we're aligned with our core being and who we are, then we'll start making better decisions, and they won't be based off of any of these superficial things that we've been taught to look at. It's just the bottom line to it. But we really need to, we we need to release some things and find out where those things are coming from, because many of these superficial things have been placed on purpose to keep certain things from happening. They were imposed on us, Jolly says.
Yep. And you know, look, there are going to be some double standards. That's just, I think that's just part of life. I mean, my wife works from home, and I think it would be, and there are times where she can make as much as I do, but oftentimes I make a whole lot more, right? If you flip that, and she was the one going out there grinding, getting it out the mud, and I was at home staying, staying home, society would frown on that.
Yep,
That's a double standard.
it
But,
is.
and so and there are trade-offs as far as, I can't think of any right now, but there are double standards in reverse too. Here's one. um, Women are judged on their beauty. They're ranked on their beauty, physical beauty. A guy doesn't have to be as attractive as long as his tongue is slick enough. He can say the right things and get in the woman's head. He can be a four and he could bag a dime. Right?
Double standard.
It's
Yeah.
the double standard because women typically a 60-year-old woman, it's going to be hard for her to go out here and catch a 25-year-old guy unless she's really holding heavy. She got to have a lot of money or something, because typically that's not the way it's going to go. But a 60-year-old man, if he's in good physical shape, there are 25-year-old women that are flocking to that brother.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
it's a double standard. That's just the way the game is laid. But it is what it is. It's not for me to fuss about the game. It's just for me to learn how the game goes and then play it to the best of my ability.
And then you again, like his first lady says, we need to unlearn in order to learn.
Yep.
And we do. I was actually shaking my head and had gotten teary eyed based off of some information I have found out recently about our religious institutions and some of the things that we were taught, and how I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to be 50 years old on Tuesday or Wednesday. I now have to take everything that I've learned and shuffle through it and go, is that right? Was that good? Was this okay? What about that? I mean, so we have to, it's a lot of unlearning we have to do to really figure out exactly who we are, what we want. And it's not a thing that just stops. You don't say, well, okay, I'm at 10 now, I'm done. No, you keep going, and you're going to keep going until you leave this earth. As long as you got breath in your body, it's time to learn. It's time to figure some things out. It's time to understand somebody else, because that's really what it is. And that's where we're going to get to the place where we're learning to not only like the person that we're with, but we're loving them as well as liking them, because that takes a lot. And if you lose respect for your partner, if you are not actively, I mean, really putting in some real good work, you might as well walk away, because
Mm.
that is something that does not come back easily. You'll be living in resentment, and then you will be miserable, and you'll be making each other miserable just because. So if you're going to sit there and be in the house, be in the bed, be whatever, make sure that you put in some work in, and don't do it just because something bad came up. Tap in, plug in, get with your partner and see what's really happening. Sit
Yep.
down and don't. I tell my clients, if you feel like this is going to turn into an argument, go out in public, Most people, especially men, because they don't like being disrespected, they're not going to fly off the handle if you having a conversation that's kind of might be a little bit heavy. Don't care if these people around you don't know you, right? They don't know you. If they hear something they're not supposed to hear, so what? They done seen a whole bunch more. But have a conversation in public, that you want to get some things out that you may be a little nervous about. And that way things will stay level. There won't be anybody cussing each other out and doing things like that. But you can find ways to have these conversations. If you've invested time in your partner, find some way to get an ROI out of your investment.
And I'll add to that, and I'll say that I think a lot of times these days we have so much, again, that confusion and unlearning in order to relearn, right? There are women who think that their strength in the relationship is competing with men based on these masculine characteristics that they've been taught. And so you have women yelling at the top of their lungs with their men. And that's just, I mean, you're entering combat with your man, and that's just not where you win. Your softness is your strength.
Yes.
Like it is so much harder for me to say no to my woman when she's operating in her softness, yes, than if she comes to me with any type of aggression. Because if you come to me with aggression, now I'm already, if you come at me aggressively, that's going to turn me up. I'm like, who the hell you think you're talking to? Like, that's the energy that I'm going to meet you with. But if you come at me with that God-given softness, I can't match that. There's nothing I can do to, to battle that. So 9 times out of 10, I'm giving in, especially if it's, something, it ain't putting me way out or whatever. It's honorable. It's nothing that challenges or compromises my integrity. And she ain't doing that anyway. But
right.
My point is, again, when she comes to me softly, there's a whole lot more to be gained than if she comes to me combatively.
Yes. There is nothing in this world. Absolutely. Well, okay, there is, but nothing in God's vision of this world that does not have a positive, negative, an in and out, something that has to complement its other, right? So if he's tough, rough, your softness is going to soften him. If he happens to be, that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be this masculine aggression against this masculine aggression and, this whole alpha female and alpha male. Yeah, we have it. But if I consider myself, for lack of, for better conversation of being able to explain it, consider myself an alpha female, right? However, I will never be an alpha female anything with my alpha man. I'm going to be submission is the way for me to go. And when women learn that, stop trying to be alpha. Stop trying to, because you can't have 2 heads. That makes a monster. You put 2 heads, it's going to be a monster. You can't, y'all can be, making decisions together, but at some point, somebody going to have to step up and go, all right, this is our final decision. So It has to go that way. There is no other way for it to happen. I believe that we're co-creators of our lives with the Heavenly Father, the creator of all things. We're co-creators, but he still ultimately has the last say. And if you don't put that in perspective, then you're going to have issues in your relationship with communicating with your partner, because a man at all times, I keep telling my female clients this, at all times will not want to be disrespected. I don't care how docile he is, how quiet he is, how you feel like you can just say whatever and he'll just do. No, you think that you saying whatever he just doing? He done checked out on you, and in about 6 months to a year, he gonna leave.
Yeah. No man wants a hard woman.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? And if I can't find softness at home, that's always going to be a problem.
Always.
We got Orinthio said, let me see, he just made a comment. He says, it is better to be single and lonely than married and lonely. Wait, it's better to be single and lonely than married and lonely. It's the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Yardley says submission in relationships is trust. That well said, Yardley. Well said.
Yeah.
Ron says, agreed, ma'am. And then he also says, you are exactly right, Vaughn. Femininity is the key. Softness is perfect defense. It really is. Again, going back to Brother Vaughn talking about the animal kingdom. When there are certain animals that lay their defenses down to get their prey. You have to learn how to use your gifts, ladies. I tell you, gift of persuasion, gift of discernment, two gifts that you have been gifted by the Heavenly Father, Holy Spirit, to help you to persuade and to be able to discern. Kenyatta says, if yes, you want to push me away, say we need say we need to talk. Yeah, you don't have to say we need to talk. Just start talking, ladies. Do not say those words. We need to talk, babe. Just go in. Hey, babe, how you doing? And start talking. Soon as you put that fire up, we need to talk. He done. Oh, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just start talking.
Yeah. You can make a brother get defensive real quick with those words.
Oh, Yarley has another one. Yarley says if she makes more than her man on a continuous, she would lose respect for you. She would become uncooperative. She would replace you with the next. I don't really agree with that wholeheartedly, Yarley. I think that if he is not trying, because see, somebody's best could be their B. You have to know your partner.
You know, I think it depends on where her consciousness level is too, because look, if she's truly conscious, and this is what I would need in a woman, this is why I appreciate my wife so much. If she's truly conscious, then she understands that the game really is rigged in favor of her making more money than me anyway. Doesn't mean that I can't go out and compensate for that. It doesn't mean that I can't grind on my own and still get it. But in corporate America, they are much more welcoming to a black woman than a heterosexual black man anyway. And so if she's truly in tune with what the game is, then she understands that, you know, for her to be able to go out there and get that bag, it's a win for the team. You see, because they're not doing that because they truly appreciate what she's bringing to the table. They're doing that ultimately for the detriment of the black family.
Absolutely.
So they're going to give her more money. And if she doesn't understand that, then I have no use for her anyway.
Right. Not to mention, it's the word. The word says, and we don't dig into the word. The word says to be able to divide the word of truth so that you can understand it better. I'm paraphrasing. The word says that the man will have to tend to the land or till the land for everything that he has or wants. Tilling, if you ever tilled land, for those who've never dug into land, it's not that soft ground that you see when you get a new house and they pour all the beautiful brown, black dirt with the white little pebblets in it. It ain't that. It's that hard land that you got to get some muscle, some strength into, that you got to bang that shovel into to tear it up. That, right? Also, if you read in Proverbs 31 talks about how she was the merchant ship. She was the one that was going out. She was making all the connections. She was the one that was calling in and then coming in and say, baby girl, so I met the king over here. And so the king told me to introduce you. She was doing that. But see, again, that's being that in tuned and knowing who you are kind of thing, all of that stuff, some lessons and taught some.
Even when you look at the chessboard, you know what I mean? The queen is able to make so many more moves than the king is. You know, so it could be argued that the king, though he might be the most valuable piece, the queen is the most useful piece,
most strategic.
You see, and so until you learn how to operate on the board, make moves on the board in ways where you serve each other's best interests, as opposed to being self-serving, then you can't win anyway.
Yeah.
And right now, that's a large part of why we're losing, because many of us are very self-serving, particularly at the expense of the other one.
Yes.
Right. But when I understand how my woman can move in ways that I just simply cannot, Oh man, you talking about a game changer?
Man.
So
and instead of him looking at her like, why is she doing this, or why she got this, or you need to be coming in going, man, she got this and she gonna help me move all of
yeah,
these pieces. I'm about to do. You would know how to handle it instead
yeah,
of being intimidated by it,
yeah, and vice versa. But
and vice versa.
yeah, when man,
I tell you, the chess, ladies. If I learned, my father taught me how to play chess, Vaughn, and the first time I beat my dad, I promise you, I put it on Facebook. I took a picture with the king laying down. Hey, I just learned. I learned from my father since I was a kid. And it took me. I think I beat him 4 years ago. All these years it took me to beat him. So, ladies, if y'all don't know how to play chess, learn how to play chess. And on your first date, bring a chess game. You'll learn a lot about a man.
Yep, yep. And if nothing else, I mean, look, there's a lot. Look, it's not part of our culture, right? They don't teach us that. We didn't learn that in our upbringing. Chess was a square man's game. We played checkers, right?
Yep.
But with where we are in life right now, there's a lot of gems that can be gleaned from that game. So
Yeah.
even if you have to buy a Chess for Dummies book and you learn it together, there are principles from that game that you can apply to your relationship.
Yes.
There are principles in that game that you can apply to how you move in this world and how your woman can move in this world. I'm telling you, it's invaluable.
Invaluable. I love it.
So look, we can beat this up, man. I think we got a lot of juice out of this.
We did. Yarley says, men till the land build empires, destroy the monsters, and women multiply everything a man gives her. Think about that. That was like profound. If he tilled the land, he built the empires and he destroyed the monsters. When she multiplied, he got more land, more empires, and destroyed more monsters.
Yeah. And look, there are some very well-known people with huge followings, and they're promoting this idea that men are more valuable than women. And then you have the flip side where you have women who are promoting the idea in reverse, that women are more valuable. What I'm telling you is the most valuable resource on this planet is people. And you can't get more people without the agency of masculine and feminine cooperation.
Absolutely.
And you can get people, but they won't be healthy-minded people. They won't be people that you can build legacy with. So the woman has to feel good about her role in the game. The man has to feel good about his role in the game. Otherwise, it all falls down. And we got a chessboard full of pieces laying on this side.
Yep. Come through now. Come on, honey. Yes, that was good. Chess is a metaphor for life. Well, on that note, it ain't nothing else we could say because Coach Vaun he done sealed that thing. He done packed it up and sent it off. So I love y'all. I hope that you all got something from what we said today, that something was able to resonate with you, that you were able to pick up something, you were able to share something, because that's what we're really here for. We really want His and Her Perspective show to be something that people actually glean from, learn from. They teach us to, because we're not above being learned. But we actually come and engage so that there's a betterment that happens as a result of you meeting us. So we really appreciate you all stepping in and spending this hour, 48 minutes, almost 2 hours with us. I said earlier when we first started, you could have been anywhere else, but you decided to be here with us. So we're so appreciative of that. Make sure that you see us next week. We're going to be doing this show together.
Yeah.
So excited about that. We're going to be live and in person in the same room next week. Are we going to change the date, or have we figured that out yet? We're going to do it Saturday or Sunday.
We might have to change the time because you got to get on the road, right?
Right. So got to get back on the road. So we might be doing this a little bit earlier.
Right. So we'll either do it Saturday evening, so a day earlier, or we'll either do it earlier in the day on Sunday. But either way, we'll keep y'all posted after we figure it out.
Yes, we will. But we're going to have so much fun. I'm excited because I'm going to go spend my birthday with my niece and nephew. For those who don't know, that is my nephew. I call him Brother Vaun, but he's my brother nephew through marriage. And so we're family for real. And we just realized that this year, but we've been knowing each other for 2 years now, kind of Facebook friends, but just realized that. So we're excited. I'm excited.
Yep. Me too. Looking forward to it. We're gonna eat something good. We might even get out there and cut the rug a little bit if this COVID thing break a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what it do.
Yes, because I'm going to Savannah. I'm gonna do the Segway tours. I'm gonna do the cruise tour. I'm gonna see the streets of Savannah because I done heard about those streets up there, and I'm going to see them. So I'm excited about that too. So make sure that you check us out next Sunday or whatever we're gonna. Anyway, after next weekend, normally every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're here live on Facebook at Coach Vaun the Love Alchemist and at Coach Michelamonè. No, Vaun the Love Alchemist and at Coach Michelamonè on Facebook. Make sure that you go over to our YouTube page at The His and Her Perspective Show. Subscribe. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. Y'all not helping us. We need y'all's help. You know,
hit that YouTube page. That's really where we want to start getting some a boost in the subscribers. So head on over to our Is that what you just said? Or did you say the Facebook page?
I said YouTube. Yeah, go ahead, finish.
No, I'm doubling back on what you said.
But that's because it's important, man. It's important.
Hit that YouTube page, family, and let's help us get them subscriber numbers up, so we can reach more people with what we're talking about. Because I think we're offering something pretty good, man.
I think so too.
Yeah.
What do y'all think? Y'all think we're doing? You think we're doing all right? We all right? Y'all like what we're doing? If y'all do, please share, comment, let us know, and definitely hit that YouTube page. We love y'all for real, for real. Thank you again for staying with us this long. I'm Coach Michelamonè.
I'm Vaun, the Love Alchemist. Love y'all, fam. Peace.
Bye.